Mexico One Plate at a Time is made possible by these funders.
Bohemia, 100 years of Mexican craftsmanship. Bohemia, Mexican imported beer.
Your Chipotle shrimp, fruit tart, stir fry, marinara, enchilada, lobster minestrone, weekend roast, French toast maker has arrived. 5-star. Unleash your genius.
Along the coast of Mexico's Baja Peninsula, a little inland from Ensenada and centered in the Valle de Guadalupe, lies the most productive wine country in all of Mexico. And though it may surprise many of us in the United States, Mexico is producing wines that rival anything from California. And you know, that laid-back mood of this beautiful wine-growing region is mirrored by an openness, a welcoming spirit from the area's winemakers. Hugo da Costa is a patriarch of this valley's wine industry. He had a hand in developing many of the local wineries by operating a hugely popular wine school here. I stopped by one of his own vineyards, Casa de Piedra, to review some of the basics of winemaking with him, and of course to sample the current vintages of Casa de Piedra wines. So these are the tanks for fermenting, is that right?
Exactly. You're gonna crush,
Okay.
and crush is just taking away the little piece of wood that the grapes
stem.
has, the stem. So putting together, that we call maceration,
Right.
and the rest is fermentation.
After you've done the maceration and the fermentation, you got to get the skins and the seeds and all that out of there, right?
And you press, and you have an extra wine there. And it's very, very concentrated. So after, the only process that you need to do with the wine is waiting.
So where do you go
So
then
you can do
for
that, in a tank, or you can do that in barrels.
Okay.
So it depends the kind of
Show
wine.
me those barrels.
Certainly. When you talk about barrels, you have two components. The flavor of the oak,
Okay.
and the natural oxidation, because there's a little holes in the wood that soft the wine.
And then it goes into the bottles.
And then you mix everything
Yes.
again to have only one batch,
Right.
and go to the bottles. But every particular wine has different capacity of aging. People live faster and they don't wait, so they are drinking wines that are younger than
Rushing all the time.
rushing all the time.
Can I rush to taste some of this with
Certainly.
you? Okay.
With pleasure.
Let's do that. This is the moment I've been waiting for.
That's really
This
the
is what
really
it's
part
really all
of
about. What are we going to
action.
taste first?
For that, we're going to taste the Piedra de Sol. And like I told you, the idea is to have a fresh, fruity wine that tastes like grapes.
Well, it certainly doesn't smell like a big, buttery, oaky Chardonnay that a lot of people are used to.
Exactly. That's our idea is more a wine that could play well with the seafood, the shells.
Yes.
Shells.
Okay, what's the second one?
The second one is the Vino de Piedra, a blend between Tempranillo and Cabernet Sauvignon, half and half.
Why do you put those two grapes together?
Well, I think we needed, Tempranillo grows very, very well here. It has a lot of characteristics, and natural characteristics, and the Cabernet is really a structure of the wine. So it's always healthy, to have the body. And you play with the flavors of Tempranillo, and the Cabernet is more the structure, the body of the wine.
I bet this goes really good with these cheeses. These are local cheeses,
This is
right?
local cheese.
And local bread, too.
Local bread, yes.
Wow.
So to finish a lunch is perfect.
I'm in heaven with this. I wanted to get a look at Hugo's wine school, too. A place that's produced a lot of great winemakers in this area. So we took a little road trip. The school was designed by Hugo's brother. an architect who works in a super cool, eco-friendly style that reflects the students' low-tech, artisanal, small-batch approach to winemaking. Everything here gets recycled, including a lot of reclaimed materials that were used to construct many of the buildings. Originally, the spot wasn't a wine school at all, but for years produced the region's other specialty, olive oil. So this place was an olive oil factory when you bought it?
Yes.
Obviously a very old
Very
olive
old
oil
factory.
factory.
Very old
This is pretty amazing piece of equipment. Is this stone?
No, that's iron.
It's iron, so it's
Yes.
an iron crusher.
Yes.
And do you still use it?
Yes, yes.
But of course, I hadn't come to see olive oil pressing, but to see how they teach aficionados like me small batch winemaking. So this is it. This is all the equipment that you need to make wine with.
Exactly. It's
Really?
a full winer here.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk about this. Is the stemmer
And crusher.
and crusher, and where does the juice
Basically,
come out?
you arrive with your in a box with grapes.
Right.
You put over there, and then you have the crush here and the steamer here.
Oh, okay.
And then they go directly to the fermenting tank.
And then it comes out of there, and this
You
is the
finish your
next-
maceration,
Uh-huh.
you finish your fermentation,
Yes.
and then you press here. So you're gonna put the solids here,
Yes.
the wine directly to the barrels.
To the barrels. Now I think I could like do this in my garage.
Absolutely, you need
I-
100 square feet to a full wine.
I'm making wine.
I compete with the big guys.
Oh, that is super cool. The dozen or so students at the school don't just read and hear about winemaking. They actually get their hands dirty making their own batches. I can't think of a better way to truly begin understanding the subtleties of this age-old process. The women that formed Tres Mujeres Winery learned winemaking from Hugo at the school. And along with some other former students, they've created a co-op of winemakers who share equipment and knowledge in grapes from the Guadalupe Valley. One of the Tres Mujeres, Yvette, showed me their aging cellar and began to sketch out for me what I could expect from their distinctive styles of winemaking.
So this is the cellar where we kept our barrels.
Yes. Wow, it's cool down here, isn't
It's naturally cool.
Naturally cool. What are the walls? Is this just earth?
It's just earth.
So you have 3 different winemakers that are making wines and putting them in the barrels here. Do you ever get mixed up whose barrel is whose?
No.
Or, no, you know
No,
your
we
barrel.
know. We know which
It's your
one.
little baby, so you know what it is. But did each one of you make a wine in a different style?
Yes, each one make our own wine. Sometimes it's the same grape.
Do they come out really different?
They do.
They do.
Incredible, they do.
What is your style like?
I think I'm the wild one. So
The wild
my
one?
wines are more, what I said, happy, more fruity. I use Grenache on my blends.
Yes, and Grenache is a happy
Grenache is a
grape.
happy grape.
Yes.
So the
Your
one-
wines are really a party in a bottle.
Exactly.
Yes. This is all the production here.
Production was
Yeah.
ready to
It's ready to sell.
to sell is here, yes.
Now, I noticed here that these bottles are very blank. They don't have labels on them.
no labels.
Is it you just write the name on them?
No, that's the way we started.
Yeah.
Without label,
Without
without
label.
name, without everything.
And you guys were doing what you wanted to do, and you love to make wine, and I love to drink wine.
So you want to
I would
try
like
it?
to try it. But what I want to try is that blend that gives you a little bit of each of your styles all in one bottle. Do you have one of those open
Yes,
here?
this is Tres Mujeres.
It's called Tres Mujeres.
Tres Mujeres. And it does have about 7 different kinds of grapes.
It's got a lot of body.
Well, there are 3 women in it.
I discovered that these tres mujeres aren't just winemakers, but they're fantastic cooks. And wine for them comes fully into its own when it's in sync with just the right food. So yours is the loosest, lightest, happiest style here. I don't know, these guys, they're pretty happy. For their robust, youthful, fruit-packed red wines, they mostly rely on grape types that thrive in the area: Tempranillo, Grenache, Cabernet. And with those wines, we ate everything from smoked beef to asparagus quiche and a delicious pork salpicon. And tell us, what are we having to go with
This
it?
chile ancho.
Yes.
Ancho chile.
Oh, ancho chile in English. Chile ancho, ancho chile.
Yes, it's stuffed with the cheese.
Oh, that's delicious. I'm moving here. So I can, I'm moving here. So I can drink this wine and eat this food. What, would you cook for me?
Yeah.
Salud, salud.
Wow.
This is amazing. When you say chiles rellenos, most people think about the poblano pepper, maybe the Anaheim pepper, but I'll tell you, one of the most delicious chiles rellenos that you'll ever taste is made from the dried ancho. Well, not just dried, but a marinated ancho. And we're going to marinate it first in an escabeche, kind of sweet and sour red onion escabeche that I'm going to make with some olive oil heated over about medium-high heat here. And while that's heating, I'm going to slice a red onion. Now the onion is going to go into the oil and cook fairly quickly until it begins to brown. But remember, we're over medium-high heat, so it'll still have some crunch left to it. That's just about ready, and I'm going to shave off a little bit of this sugar cone. This is what's called piloncillo in Mexico. Put the sweetening in there, and now the liquids. I'm going to pour in about 2/3 of a cup of wine vinegar and a cupful of red wine. A fruity red wine works really well here. Now for seasonings in this dish, I'm going to put a couple of leaves of fresh bay. If you've never had the opportunity to work with fresh bay, it is such an incredible treat. So aromatic, way more aromatic than the dried bay leaves you find in most of the grocery stores. And then I'm going to put a little fresh thyme in here as well. Just put the whole sprigs of thyme and the whole bay leaves in there. Stir that around. I'm going to season it with a teaspoon of sea salt. Let it simmer over about a medium-low heat for about 20 minutes for all those flavors to come together. Now to prep these ancho chilies, you need to make a slit down the side, almost all the way to the pointy end. Open it up and then let all of the seeds fall out. And then you need to go back in and work at getting all of the chili seeds out of there, making for a really refined chile relleno. Now once the chili is completely cleaned, I'm going to toast the chili by pressing it down with a spatula on one side and then flip it over and toast the other side, just the same way, pressing it down. Then collect all of your cleaned and toasted chilies into a baking dish. And take your escabeche mixture while it's still warm and pour it over those ancho chilies so that they can soak up that rich goodness. And then let them marinate for about half an hour. To fill these ancho chiles rellenos, we have some ricotta. Not the everyday ricotta, but the hand-dipped kind that you find in the delis. That's the kind that they have in Mexico. It's much firmer. Some cilantro and some roasted garlic. But first I've got to dry off these marinated chilies. Taking a paper towel, I want to dry them inside and out. so that the ricotta will stay put. I've already roasted some garlic, and then I'm going to mash that roasted garlic with a fork. The ricotta goes in. Chop some cilantro and mix everything together. Freshly ground black pepper and some sea salt. Time for the stuffing and presentation. This is absolutely delicious red wine food. Think about one of the bold and full flavored reds, maybe a Syrah, maybe a Zinfandel, maybe even a Grenache would be really good to accompany this beautiful fare. But the Baja wine-growing region is filled with more than just little boutique wineries. Located smack in the middle of it all, making wine since 1928, is El Cheto, one of Mexico's largest wineries. And their success, it's clear, stems from the passion and skill of Camilo Magoni, Cheto's winemaker for more than 45 years. I was lucky to have him taste with me the full gamut of what he puts in bottles. You're in paradise. Tell me what you love about this valley. Why does it work so well for growing grapes?
Because the climate, you know, we are near the ocean. The ocean is cold, water has cold water, so we have the breeze coming in the afternoon, similar to the coastal California area. No?
So what's the next wine that we're going to taste?
We taste the Petit Syrah. This is vintage 2008. It's a great, great wine from Guadalupe Valley.
It's probably Mexico's best known wine in the world, just because you have sent it all over the world for people to enjoy, to taste.
I think so. It's a great wine, intense character, spicy wine.
Mm-hmm. You know, it says so much about this valley, I think, because it's clearly something that's been grown in a warm climate.
Yeah.
It's satisfying. It goes with lots of different food. Actually, with a piece of grilled tuna, this would be really delicious.
The tannins are so smooth that
They're smooth
you can drink this wine a little cold.
That's
so
great.
that's go great also with seafood.
With the seafood. Yeah. Let's taste that Nebbiolo, because Nebbiolo is a grape that you don't see very often outside of Italy. And here it is in the Valle de Guadalupe in Mexico, and it seems to like it here.
The Italians say it's a mountain variety.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
This is not the mountains. It does remind me a lot of some of the wines that I've had in Italy. And it reminds me of wines that I have here in Mexico, in this valley. And I think it's the perfect blend of those two. When we think of wine, most of us think of cheese too, which might be why this region has spawned so many great artisanal cheesemakers. La Cava de Marcelo is probably the most famous one down on the road to Ojos Negros. The Ramonetti family's been making cheese here since Marcelo's great-grandfather immigrated here from Switzerland in 1911.
Suiza.
The Suiza. Marcelo set out 6 different cheeses for us to taste, from a few days old to 2.5 years. Some of it flavored with black pepper or garden basil or rosemary. The more aged the cheese got, the better it went with Marcelo's wine, a powerful Cabernet Zinfandel Petit Syrah blend.
Pues, señor Marcelo, muchas gracias.
Salud.
The Husong family, yes, the ones that own that famous Ensenada bar, may have started winemaking as a hobby, but now their San Rafael vineyards and winery in the Ojos Negros Valley turn out some really beautiful wines. The Husong's home has a stunning view of the vineyards and a pretty stunning outdoor kitchen, too. It was a nice place to hang out with Louis, San Rafael's young winemaker who did his training and went to chef's school in California's Napa Valley. He had pulled together some ingredients for a fish dish that he thought would really show off one of his wines. So tell me what you just put into the grill.
Just put in hickory wood chips that have been soaking in red wine.
What are you making this?
Well, we're gonna make some smoked and grilled trouts, rainbow trouts, which are from a local farm. But first, we're gonna season the trout with salt and pepper.
Okay.
And we're gonna do some vegetables just to flavor, some vegetables and a little white wine to flavor the trouts and put them on the smoker. Do a little green onion, some fennel.
I love fennel.
To go along with the trout, we're going to do some grilled zucchinis and then sort of make a mashed zucchinis to go with the trout. So it's sort of like,
I don't think I've ever had anything like that. I love these. These are my favorite zucchinis. It's sweeter.
very light, sweet, yeah.
I love it. Mexican red garlic?
Yeah.
The one with the hard stem in the middle of it?
And we'll just mash the whole thing up with little salts.
Louis put together a great garlicky aioli to go with the trout, spiced up with some horseradish, plus a big handful of cilantro that anchored us firmly on Mexican soil. Yes, it's spicy with that horseradish. I like it. It's good. And what are we looking for?
And then basically we're just looking for, the skin to come right off.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I think it looks beautiful.
These
I
look
love all the browning that's going on everything there. It just looks so mouth-watering.
We'll just give them a rough chop before we mash them with a fork. So just.
And you're gonna need this bowl back, right?
That
the
bowl
one
back,
that
yeah,
you
with the
marinated
same, yeah, with the. Well, that one's a seasoned bowl.
It's a seasoned bowl, salt, pepper, and garlic. Now I've waited for too long on this. Now I got to taste. Well, I tasted the sauce. After having spent some time tasting and eating with a few of the artisan winemakers in Baja's wine-growing region, I came to realize that wine is just a starting point for getting to know passionate people, understanding and sharing their resources, their creativity, their talent and dedication, and some pretty delicious food and wine along the way. Here, in and around the Valle de Guadalupe, you encounter a truly inspired way of life. Okay, so I fired up your appetite. Some of my favorite dishes, entertaining tips, and Mexican travel inspirations. Well, now I want to hear what you have to say. Visit us at rickbayless.com/TV for recipes and a whole lot more.
This program was made possible by
Bohemia, 100 years of Mexican craftsmanship. Bohemia, Mexican imported beer.
Your Chipotle shrimp, fruit tart, stir fry, marinara, enchilada, lobster minestrone, weekend roast, French toast maker has arrived. 5-star. Unleash your genius.